City Hall. We are very proud to be here today to talk about supporting green infrastructure in capital cities. And with us this morning to sort of announce our project and our partnership is our Regional EPA Administrator Karl Brooks, and I'm going to immediately turn it over to him, and then I'll have a couple of concluding remarks. But Karl, welcome to Des Moines.
Thanks, Mayor County. Appreciate it very much. Well, good morning, everybody. As the mayor said, I'm Karl Brooks. I'm the Regional Administrator for the United States Environmental Protection Agency, Region 7, which doesn't mean much as a number, but it's the states of Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, and Missouri, and then 9 tribal nations. And I have some very good news to announce here. I wanted to tell you more about why the Environmental Protection Agency selected Des Moines as part of our Greening America's Capitals program. And that's good news, but really not much of a surprise for those of you who know Des Moines. Mayor County and the City Council have long shared a very ambitious agenda to green this city and to make this city a model for sustainable urban development here. Since back in the mid-2000s, the City Council Task Force on Energy Conservation and Environmental Enhancement has been working to translate vision into practical policies. The Environmental Protection Agency held an annual competition this year, and Des Moines was one of 5 state capitals selected, along with Frankfort, Kentucky, Baton Rouge, Louisiana, Helena, Montana, and Indianapolis, Indiana, all very different cities, but united by the fact that they think they can use smart design principles and green infrastructure to help revitalize key neighborhoods in those cities. So how does the Greening America's Capitals work for Des Moines? It's pretty simple, actually. This agency, EPA, helps organize a team of architects and planners and designers who will provide customized technical advice that's requested by the City of Des Moines. The intent is for these advice packages to provide models, not just for Des Moines, but for other communities, especially in Iowa, but throughout the country, so that they can use more environmentally sustainable and economically sustainable designs. So, let me also announce some news here that the Environmental Protection Agency has selected the 2 design consultants who will be working with Des Moines. It's the BNIM firm and Vireo, which will be providing technical advice to Des Moines. BNIM, as you know, maintains an office here in Des Moines. The principals live here in the city. They've been committed to sustainability in this community for well over 20 years. For 41 years, they've been a global leader in applying sustainable design. But one of the great things about BIM that we know from down in Kansas City, where we're officed, is that they have deep Midwestern roots. The firm began in Kansas City, and so they have a very deep understanding of what it is that makes these communities in our part of the country special, and they understand the ecology, the culture, the politics, as well as the climate. BNIM worked with Lincoln, Nebraska, as well as with Jefferson City, Missouri, earlier Greening America's Capitals winners. And the Vireo firm has been at the forefront of sustainable planning for 15 years, both Kansas City and Omaha. They're officed out of Omaha, and again, they worked with our agency very closely and the city of Lincoln, Nebraska. Both of these firms are committed to working in a collaborative way, not just with city government, but with the neighbors along the 6th Avenue corridor. That's one of the reasons why they were selected. So, what do these firms intend to do with Des Moines and with the folks who make up the neighborhood in the 6th Avenue corridor? The city's plan, and I'm sure that the mayor can discuss this in detail with you, is going to be revitalizing a 1-mile segment of the 6th Avenue corridor between I-235 and Hickman Road. There are several objectives that this design project is going to include: widening sidewalks, narrowing traffic lanes, improving the street lighting, improving the bus stop shelters, using permeable pavement, and then creating and seeding bioretention areas using native plants as a way to control stormwater and urban runoff that's often contributed to flooding along the Des Moines River. Most of you know the 6th Avenue corridor faces real challenges, economic challenges, architectural challenges. Too many homes and businesses along that corridor have deteriorated. Aging sanitary and water mains have contributed to flooding along the Des Moines River before, and the per capita income along the corridor lags the rest of the cities. What we've noticed in Greening America's Capitals is that communities and state capital areas that have chosen to use these packages have almost always spurred more development and more economic activity. They've also engaged neighbors to work collaboratively on redesigning key corridors in their cities. These sustainable communities help bring in investment. They maintain neighborhood pride. That corridor has a strong sense of itself as a neighborhood, and our planners, as well as the city government, is going to tap into that. Based on our experience with Jeff City and with Lincoln, we expect that these projects along the corridor will stabilize businesses, attract new businesses, and definitely improve the sense of the 6th Avenue corridor as a neighborhood that's got a lot of history, a lot of tradition, but also a lot of potential too. We have found in these communities in Nebraska and in Missouri that sustainable development increases the redevelopment of properties, and it helps grow the local tax base and increase unemployment in these neighborhoods. These projects make areas more walkable, more bicycle friendly, more accessible to public transportation, and in each of these other communities, we've seen that this type of change leads to economic development and economic activity. We look forward to working with Des Moines. I very much appreciate the mayor and the city staff applying for this project. We were happy to make the award to Des Moines. It's a very competitive project. A number of cities applied. Des Moines was one of only 5 chosen. We look forward to being partners here with you in Des Moines for some time to come. Mayor Cownie.
I'm sure a lot of you have some specific questions that you would like to ask Karl, but let me quickly tell you this is sort of an ongoing project, and I see one of our partners sitting back here, or at least I did see him, John Moreland. Where did he just slip on that? But he's with Senator Harkin's office, and if we have any of our other congressional delegation representatives here, they've long been great supporters of a lot of the stuff that we have had going out of Washington, D.C., including CDBG grants. We were talking about one of those earlier in this particular neighborhood and corridor, remembering back to the 90s when we started doing some planning up in there as the neighborhood group started coming together to think about what the future of the neighborhood was going to look like and how we ought to recapture some of that early fabric of our city and not knock it all down, but let's save it. We've got some great Victorian homes, some homes along the river banks all across the all the way down, and certainly 6th Avenue corridor connects directly to the Des Moines River, right up there along Arlington, and then with North High School and Birdland Park there north of it. It's interesting as we think about it, all the efforts that we've had in the city of Des Moines and the great effort that's taking place now along the 6th Avenue corridor. The city itself started with a plan that Karl talked about a second ago, but with our 6th Avenue corridor streetscape, the neighborhood organizations were involved early on and have enthusiastically adopted a number of plans and included at least a certain portion of the area, especially in the River Bend neighborhood, which has now become a historically designated neighborhood, and we can, in other ways, through other federal programs, help them out to bring back some of that classic fabric that is so important up in that area. But one of the main things I think along this corridor that we are excited about, that we have thought about, and now with this component of the Greening of America's Capitals and being a partner in this and having been selected, it allows us to think about that 6th Avenue corridor and make it more pedestrian friendly, make it a place for business, a place to live, access to everything. We just partnered with Des Moines Area Community College. They're doing a training center, and we're going to have a grocery store up there again, which we think are key elements to a walkable neighborhood. We certainly have worked with the DART plan, which is our Des Moines Area Regional Transit Authority, and they are looking at plans for a regional transit and bus service up and down that corridor. So we want to think in the 21st century way, and how do we do it? And certainly now, putting some of those other green elements into it, it's going to involve, as Karl said, wider sidewalks, a little bit narrower streets, some other factors around traffic calming. But in addition to that, thinking about how do we capture that stormwater? How do we clean the stormwater? How do we get it back in the earth as opposed to just putting it in a pipe and putting it in the river? Not that it, quite frankly, the water on 6th Avenue is going to further flood the city of Des Moines, but as we think about the golden rule of working with water, it's do unto those downriver what you would like to have those upriver do to you. And so we're going to try to get more and more of our natural moisture resource back into the earth and back into the soil and clean it up, get the sand and get the salt and get all the other things that are elements that otherwise might go into that storm sewer and directly into the water, clean it up, reduce flooding, and make a great future for our citizens in the city of Des Moines. So I want to thank Karl and the EPA for selecting Des Moines and becoming our partner. And yet another piece, we also have, by the way, a state grant. We have a that we are working on, and it's the Main Street project, and we have been working on that for a period of time as well. So you have local government, local residents, local businesses, and Mercy Hospital and some of our other partners up there, some of their representatives have been here this morning as well. So hopefully we're going to all work together from the private sector to the public sector at all levels, local, state, and federal, coming together to make a great program. And we look forward to it and are excited, hopefully, not only to do the planning, but implement it and put it in place and have a great outcome for the future of our city in a great old neighborhood. So with that, I understand, Amelia, that we're going to have opportunities for people to talk with Karl and interview him individually if you would like to do so. I would be more than happy to also speak with any of the media that would like to speak with me. We have one of our city council members here that's through the years not only been a great city council member, Skip Moore, but also Skip was our municipal arborist. Our municipal arborist is here also. So we have a lot of city representatives. Those of you that would like to talk to us, we're open for discussion for a while till you get tired of us. And thank you so much for coming down.